Our body is designed to produce hydrogen gas, but that requires that the bacteria in our intestinal tract is the correct bacteria. Otherwise, we end up with big problems. Hydrogen was supposed to be there. It's mission critical. It's part of us. It's what is required for us to function properly or efficiently or effectively. And hydrogen's primary role is to reduce or manage oxidation and also managing inflammation so we don't get chronic inflammation in the body. And the reason why that's so important is the combination of those two things is the leading cause of disease. At least 80%, 90% of individuals that will drink Echowater because of the hydrogen gas in it, you will have significant improvement and possibly full recovery from whatever people are dealing with.
Welcome back to another episode of Spirit to Cell. Today we're diving back into another wellness modality. Today's guest is no stranger to the show. He's already been with us once to discuss red light therapy and how this can affect the cellular health at the mitochondrial level, creating cellular energy, helping with inflammation. Today's topic may seem different, but I think when we zoom in, we'll find that there's a lot of similarities. Today, we're talking about molecular hydrogen or hydrogen-rich water and the benefits that this can have on our body and our overall health. Dr. Paul is founder of Echowater, a company that has been promoting education, awareness, and products that are helping people heal in this modality. Dr. Paul, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure.
So let's just jump right into that fact right there, that on the surface for people that might be clicking on this video, maybe they were new to red light therapy and now they're really interested. And for some people, they don't know what hydrogen water is. So what are the reasons why we want hydrogen? And how is it similar or different than the red light?
Great question. So, hydrogen, of course, is a gas, so completely different than red light. However, some of the effects in the body are similar and accomplished through different mechanisms. And light stimulates mitochondrial function, cell function, and other things directly, whereas hydrogen gas is a signal modulator. And I'm not saying that light can't be a signal modulator. I'm saying that red light is a direct effect on cells and mitochondrial function and skin and what have you. Whereas hydrogen gas modulates pathways and gets things working the way they're supposed to in the body. And so it's a very different mechanism where hydrogen isn't doing the heavy lifting. Hydrogen isn't, the primary cause of these things. It's really getting other things work, kind of like a manager in an office. When they're there, work gets done because they're managing people. But sometimes when they're gone, maybe not as much gets done. Well, that's definitely the case with hydrogen. And now getting to why hydrogen, that's a big question for a lot of people because they're like, I have no idea why you would want to put a hydrogen in your body. Well, if we really understand our intestinal tract, the colon is a hydrogen ecosystem. It is a fermentation, a place where fermentation occurs. That's really how digestion occurs, is we're fermenting foods in the colon. And anytime you're fermenting anything, you're going to have gases produced. And if the bacteria in the gut are correct, we can end up with hydrogen gas. Just like a car has a tailpipe, our body has a tailpipe. And the reality is, we're going to release gases as we convert things into energy and as we break down food content in the colon. Our body is designed to produce hydrogen gas, but that requires that the bacteria in our intestinal tract is the correct bacteria. Otherwise, we end up with big problems. And so, what I would say is, why hydrogen? It's because hydrogen was supposed to be there. It's mission critical. It's part of us. It's what is required for us to function properly or efficiently or effectively. And so if none of us had any gut issues, if none of us had any, chemicals coming to our body that might disturb or disrupt our gut function, we would produce hydrogen gas and we would be great. We would be doing wonderful. We wouldn't have all the disease models. We wouldn't have inflammation. We wouldn't have oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. We wouldn't have all these immune function issues. We wouldn't have any of these things because hydrogen would be there. And hydrogen's primary role is to reduce or manage oxidation so that we don't end up with oxidative stress. And also managing inflammation so we don't get chronic inflammation in the body. And the reason why that's so important is the combination of those two things, oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, is the leading cause of disease. And so hydrogen's there to prevent disease.
So when you're saying this, then another question starts to come to mind, which is because people on this podcast generally are coming with chronic conditions. And I know in your company, Brandon, you guys do a lot of like optimization and for people to be at their best potential. If we are taking the hydrogen in now as an outside source because we're deficient in it because we don't have the right gut bacteria, so we're not producing it ourselves, does there ever get to be a point in a modern society where hopefully we turn the tide? Like, is having the hydrogen going to do something in the body where it can sustain and create more hydrogen itself? Or will it always be deficient in hydrogen until we treat some other condition? And in the world then that we live in now, is it even possible if we're constantly being exposed on an ongoing basis?
Excellent question again, Dana. Good job. Okay, so if our bodies were functioning properly, we would have no gut dysfunction. We could eat whatever we want. We would process foods and we would ideally have a very varied diet. We would eat all kinds of things so that it got diversity of bacteria in our intestinal tract. Now, when we have overuse of antibiotics, for example, this damages or disturbs the terrain and the biome in our intestinal tract. So the bacteria there no longer have a place to live. When we talk about gut dysfunction or we talk about gut issues, really people have no idea what that means. Most people are like, yeah, I have gut issues or everybody's got gut issues. I accept that. But I don't know what that means. I have no idea, right? That's where most people live. It's really simple to understand gut issues. It's a bacterial problem. You have two primary types of bacteria in the gut, aerobic and anaerobic. And we should have very little aerobic. In other words, 96 to 99% of the bacteria in the body should be anaerobic. Only 1 to 4% should be aerobic. However, if we change the polarity of our intestinal tract by chemicals, overuse of antibiotics, these kind of things, we can change the terrain and make it more suitable for aerobic bacteria. And at that point, our food cravings are going to be carbs and sugar because that's what aerobic bacteria can consume or process. We won't be wanting fiber and fatty acids, which is what we should be eating, because we won't have the bacteria to process those things. And how do we know when we have that kind of an issue? Someone eats a salad and has diarrhea. And I'm not talking because of parasites. I'm saying because a salad or vegetables would be high fiber and you wouldn't have anaerobic microflora to convert those fiber or to process those fiber, water soluble beneficial fibers. So really having a gut that's working correctly means we predominantly have anaerobic microflora and very little bit of aerobic. If we have that, then our immune function is high, our antioxidant pathways are working, our elimination pathways are working. We're able to eat whatever the heck we want and we can process it. We don't have anxiety and depression as much as those that would have a lot of aerobic bacteria. They're automatically, not only are they going to crave sugar and carbs, but they're going to automatically have anxiety and depression because it's what happens when you have too much of that bacteria. So these are all the issues going on. Okay, so that's the terrain conversation. Can we fix that? Absolutely. And putting hydrogen back into the body can fix that. So not only did I develop the first hydrogen water system that was marketed, and but also it can fix the gut. So within a 2 week period, someone can drink water, Echowater, and because of the hydrogen gas in that water, you're going to no longer have the gut issues that you have. Now, that's the reality. When you get hydrogen into the gut, it changes the terrain, it changes the biome, it creates an environment for anaerobic microflora to come back and live, and therefore you start to be able to eat other kind of foods. So, what would that look like? Gluten and dairy intolerance gone in a couple weeks. Like, wouldn't that be something? IBS, right? All these kind of issues that people suffer from can go away quickly because you have hydrogen back in the body. You're changing the terrain and the biome. You're getting the bacteria back in so that you can actually process the foods. And now all of a sudden your antioxidant pathways are working better. Your immune function has significantly increased. Your brain is functioning because you can produce ghrelin secretions in the gut properly. Like all these things start to happen, and it's all because you're missing hydrogen. And I know this is new to a lot of people. People have no idea how critical hydrogen is. But if we just think of something really simple in the body, like stomach acid, you can't even make it without hydrogen gas that's free and available in the body. You know, HCl is what stomach acid is made out of. So without the H, you can't make stomach acid. So understand it's critical to life, it's critical to the proper function of our body. And then we get into mitochondrial function where typically you have hydroxyl radicals, which are oxygen radicals because of sugar or other things that are coming into the body. Hydrogen stops hydroxyl radical formation. That's the most toxic or cell damaging radical in the human body that typically is in the mitochondrial respiratory chain. So you cannot create ATP or energy properly. So people are tired all the time. That's another thing. Because of having hydrogen, you're not going to feel tired all the time, most likely. Now, keep in mind, everything I'm telling you is not a guarantee for every single human being that hears this. I am simply talking from a perspective of the 2,257 studies that have been published and no negatives, no contraindications. And this is what we typically see. Now, there may be some other underlying issues that someone may have to prevent hydrogen from fully fixing your gut or what have you, but that we can deal with. But I would say at least 80%, 90% of individuals that will drink Echowater because of the hydrogen gas in it, you will have significant improvement and possibly full recovery from whatever people are dealing with. And so that's what I want to have a little bit of a caveat there, is saying nothing's perfect and nothing's 100%, but I will say the numbers are extremely high.
Well, and the fact that there's no adverse side effects reported with it, then in my mind, especially for someone like myself that's struggled with health conditions for so long, the best case scenario is well, not the best case, but if it doesn't work, then that's okay. I can live with that something
Mhm.
doesn't work as long as it didn't damage me the way some of the other
Right,
things have. Because,
right.
you understand, especially when you're on a complicated health journey, that our bodies are all not, even though our symptoms might be the same, what's going on underneath in our individual case does vary. But what I like hearing, and this is what I was really honestly, I didn't know the answer to, and I'm excited to get that answer from you, is that the hydrogen is not just like say, taking a vitamin and you've got more of it in your body for 24 hours. It's
Yep.
actually doing something to help restore the problem that was there to begin with. which
Hmm.
means that you actually are changing the needle as opposed to just, again, whether it's, no symptoms and whether it's not dangerous. Sometimes I even felt like that when I was doing the pulse magnetic field therapy in the beginning. It would give me energy in the short term, but it
Yeah,
wasn't like restoring it to make
correct.
its own energy in the long run. It did help in a lot of ways, and over years of using it, it did do a lot of beneficial things. But I kept feeling like I had to redo it and retreat and retreat. So the hydrogen, it's interesting to know that it's going to do something to switch it, because I 100% am agreeing here that the stomach is going to be primary, not just for everybody, but I know for myself too.
Yeah,
I had so much antibiotic as a child because I had ear infections and
yeah.
surgeries and so many things. And I think that that's for a lot of us, even those of us, which a lot of us have been over prescribed antibiotics. We're getting it in our meat, right? In the food and all these
Hmm.
chemicals and these other sources. It's pretty hard to not feel like
Right.
you're getting a super dose of that all the time. So now, like one of the things I found with like prebiotics and probiotics is you go into the supplement store and there is such a huge shelf full of stuff. And you're like, well, how do I know? Do I need more of this kind or that kind? Do I need the prebiotic, postbiotic? Which one is
Yeah.
like the thing? It sounds like the hydrogen is, regardless of what health condition or what the current dysbiosis or the gut bacteria looks like, it's going to be beneficial regardless of what your starting point is. And I think that's amazing. So it's like we're going from, now we're not just treating a wide variety of symptoms and disease conditions, but the root cause, which is probably similar for a lot of us.
Well, yeah, the root cause is mankind. And I hate to say that, but we're we're the best and the worst all at the same time, right? And I would say it this way, like antibiotics save lives, right? We shouldn't, I'm not saying that antibiotics are don't have a purpose or aren't good. The problem is the overuse of them. And this is what I mean by that. Antibiotics are there for life-threatening bacterial infections. And let me tell you, if you have a bacterial infection in your body, you want to take antibiotics. It will save your life. The problem is many times in medicine, people present a sickness or a cold that might be what we call viral infection. Antibiotics aren't going to do anything for a viral infection, and yet they can do a lot of damage to your intestinal tract, which will reduce your immune function and disturb your ability to produce energy, disturb your ability to eat foods and process them properly. And people have no idea that it could take them up to 2 years to restore their gut to where it was. However, you'll probably get sick again, and then in that meantime, 2 years is a long time, and you'll take another antibiotic and you'll wipe yourself out again, and you just get in a cycle. So drinking echo water that's going to give you the hydrogen gas that can actually restore your proper gut function and increase immune function and alertness and energy production and all the things, because your body was lacking hydrogen in the first place. So it isn't like we're giving you something your body doesn't produce. We're giving you something the body is supposed to make. And so as soon as we give that tool back to the body, it's like, oh my gosh, thank you. Now, I've had some people say, wow, I have no more gut issues. I don't have any of my issues anymore. So they might take their flask, their Echo flask, like maybe they bought something like this from us, and then they say, well, maybe I don't have to drink that anymore because I'm feeling great now. And I would say you can't really do that in today's world. We have so much in the food supply and in the water and everywhere that's heavy metals and pesticides and pharmaceuticals and blood pressure medication in your tap water and all these kind of things. You can't really ever not drink Echo water. Like, unfortunately, it's not a one and done unless you're going to go and only produce your own food, only eat your own food, get the highest water filtration you could ever accomplish in your life. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you'd have to get the best air filter for your home. Like it would take so much effort, and you could never leave without taking your own food. You just have to understand the society and the world that we live in today, which is a beautiful one in many ways. It's it's problematic. And so everything you put in your mouth is harming you for the most part. Even I eat 85, 90% organic food, and that's great. But there's still issues in there. Like I was reading a study the other day on cinnamon, and there was lead and all kinds of things in it. Glyphosate is in the cinnamon supply, and it didn't matter if it was organic or not, it was in there. And so I think it's more and more difficult today to get away from the harmful chemicals. And so people just need to understand for the rest of your life, you're going to be drinking Echo water. And I didn't create the problem and then create the fix like some companies do. I'm just developing the solution to help you not suffer. And so all I'm saying is think of all the things that you spend money on. The best thing you could spend money on is your health, and the least expensive thing you're going to buy is a Echo product that can give you hydrogen water. But the results are going to be you feeling better every day and accomplishing anti-aging. And I always tell doctors just give them the water and then see what's left, because most of the time you're chasing symptoms, or what we call symptomology. You're just trying to chase symptoms, and the symptoms are going to change based on a lot of parameters. And so I tell the medical professionals that I work with closely, give your patients the water and then let's see what's left, because then you can fix that. But there's going to be a lot less to deal with.
I'd like to take a quick moment to share something I'm genuinely excited about. If you've been following my journey, you know I've spent a lot of time researching molecular hydrogen. At this point, I'm personally convinced it's a valuable addition to my own wellness routine, especially as I continue to support my MS and work on improving my gut health. What gave me the confidence is the growing body of research, thousands of published studies exploring molecular hydrogen, combined with learning from Dr. Paul and a company that's been in the wellness space for decades. In fact, I recently purchased the Echo One under sink system for my home. Not only provides reverse osmosis filtration and UV purification, but also infuses the water with molecular hydrogen. I love knowing that it's something my whole family, even my pets, can benefit from. I can't wait for it to arrive and to begin incorporating it into my daily routine. If you'd like to learn more about Echo Water, you can find the link in the description. And as part of the Spirit to Cell community, you can save 10% with discount code EOM10. As always, I only recommend products that I've researched carefully and personally choose to use myself. So the hydrogen, then so far we're talking about that it's really doing the beneficial gut bacteria. We're supposed to be creating it. We didn't have enough good gut bacteria. We're short on hydrogen, so that's the starting point, is to put that extra hydrogen back in to also
Mhm.
then help that whole terrain to improve itself. You're saying that hydrogen is a signaling molecule or
Yep.
modulator. I forget the term
Yep.
you said, but so what else in the bodies is it doing things otherwise too? Like it's helping our mitochondria,
Everything.
it's doing.
Yep.
So what are some other major things? Like I know you've touched a little bit on like energy production. Is that because it's then also interacting with the uh mitochondria as well too?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So the most cytotoxic or cell damaging radical in the human body is the hydroxyl radical. And just for fun today, let's do some chemistry class. What is a hydroxyl radical? It's HO. That's all a hydroxyl radical is. So imagine a hydrogen and an oxygen is the most damaging radical in the human body. What happens if you just add another H to it?
Right.
You have
Yeah, I
water.
mean, that's
Well, you went
amazing.
from HO to H2O. And so that's what's beautiful about chemistry. That's what I love about chemistry is you can literally take the most cell damaging radical in the human body, add a hydrogen molecule to it, and next thing you know, you have water. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Honestly, sometimes it sounds so simple that it's hard to believe because people think that health and anything really that's believable has to be really complicated somehow.
Right.
And then when you hear it broken down in such a simple, easy to understand thing, you're almost like, if it was so easy, how come we don't know about this until this moment?
Well, people, I'm trying, people. I'm trying. It's been 20 years now. 2009, I started lecturing on hydrogen. But, so many people think it's too simple. And so in their mind, they dismiss it. And here they've lost the opportunity to have the greatest health they could ever have in their life by allowing natural skepticism to stop them from trying something. I love healthy skepticism. I think it's the greatest thing that we have. It keeps us out of trouble in many situations. However, it also makes us dumb sometimes because we're so skeptical that we're like, that can't be. As soon as we say that can't be, that's a problem because we have no data. We haven't done research. We haven't done any reading, and we're just like, oh, that can't be true. Never mind. And it's like, oh, you just harmed yourself there. And so you have to do some research. After the research, you can go, oh, okay, now I know that's not going to work. Or you could be like, holy cow, I am shocked. It really is this simple. And so you talk about prebiotics and probiotics. Well, first of all, probiotics are already done. That's more of a band aid. Anytime it says a probiotic, it's a band aid. A prebiotic is where you can actually seed the gut. Those are typically beneficial fibers. So you're putting those fibers in the body and it allows the bacteria to give something to eat and process and function with. And so we have a drink mix called the Echo Hydrogen, you know, prebiotic drink mix. We have three prebiotics and it makes hydrogen. So some people that want a really good tasting water, it tastes like apple, crisp apple, they can get these stick packs from us and it's an amazing flavor and it has three prebiotics and it's going to make the hydrogen water and it tastes incredible. So for those that want water or a drink that tastes good and you're trying to replace something maybe that you're drinking now that may not be good for you, you could at least do that once a day and have a nice prebiotic drink. Now, I want to introduce something that's very different, and this may blow your mind, Dana. This may blow a lot of people's mind. And I hope to do that. This is what I enjoy doing is blowing people's minds because hopefully it gets them outside of their normal thinking and the programming they received in life, and it gets them thinking about our bodies and the world we live in and what's reality. So, if I took some hamburger meat and put it in a Ziploc bag and chucked it outside my house onto a sidewalk or onto grass or whatever, and just put it out there in the sun and left it, what do you think's going to happen? Well, you're going to have a lot of stuff happen, right? It's going to start to decompose. It's going to start to break down. You're going to start to have maggots. Would you agree that you probably
Yes.
would have some maggots coming in there? And that's just, you know, whatever. My question is, if it's in a Ziploc bag, where did the maggots come from? Where did the decomposition come from? Where did it come from? Because it's in a sealed container.
So its own bacteria that was already within the cells?
Yes. So we've got to stop thinking about we've got to stop thinking like we've been programmed to think, which is I have to seed something or I have to add something for it to be there. I want people to start thinking of a terrain or a biome or an ecosystem. And within that ecosystem, you have everything that's good and everything that's bad. It's all there at the same time. And whatever we feed or support is what's going to happen. So if we take hamburger meat and put it out in this, it's obviously going to decompose because it's dead. There's nothing going to support that muscle tissue to continue living. It's going to die and it's going to go back to the earth. So all of these things, the worms, the decomposition, all of it is just taking it back to the earth. That's a natural process And it's beneficial for the earth at that point. It gets broken down into stuff that can be good for the earth. I want people to think, so that's one example. Second example, this will make more sense to people because how many people have seen an aquarium? Most everybody, right? Not many people have taken meat in a Ziploc bag and put it outside. My question is, if you've got an aquarium with beautiful fish, have you ever noticed all of a sudden one day that algae just appears?
Yep, I've actually, when I first started with fish tanks, I lost a lot of fish trying to figure out how to keep them healthy.
Yeah, and you end up with ick, right? And so here's the deal. Where did the algae come from? Did you put it in there?
No, I mean, I always assumed that maybe it was airborne and then it touches the surface of the water. I never knew.
No, as soon as the water's out of balance, you have algae. And then when you start, typically it's nitrates, right? It's poop down in the rocks or the sand that you haven't vacuumed out sufficiently. And so you end up with nitrites. You have to balance those two things. As you vacuum out the poop, it cleans up the environment. And the environment is what? The water. What's interesting is we think of the water as a terrain or a biome. That's what the fish are living in. If the water stays balanced, we don't have algae. If the water gets out of balance, we have algae. And the big question is, where did the algae come from? Well, it was already in the environment. And so, is there a purpose for it? I'm sure if we were smarter than we are, we would figure out there was a purpose. And just like our body is an environment. And if we don't keep our body balanced or the terrain balanced, we end up having problems internally. And those problems might be trying to clean up the problem or might be trying to help us. But if we don't do away with the source problem, the cleanup mechanisms start to harm us. Just like in the fish tank or the aquarium, the algae might be there potentially for a good purpose, who knows, but it just appears. As soon as we balance the water, the algae goes away. So the question is where to come from and where to go. If we balance the water, the algae will go away by itself because the problem was the environment. It never was the fish. It never was the algae. And we can clean the algae up, and what's going to happen? It's just going to come back because the water or the environment was never balanced and clean. Does that make a
That's,
little bit of
yeah, no,
sense?
it absolutely makes sense.
So that's what we're doing by putting hydrogen in our body. We're changing the environment. Hydrogen can fix those issues in the environment because that's what was missing in the first place. And so that's what I want people to understand is I want them to think environmentally. I want them to think at a biome, a terrain. What causes a terrain or a biome to exist properly? And it's a balance. It's a balance of good and bad things. Just like our body, we have hydrogen, which is a reducer, oxygen, which is an oxidizer. If one or the other gets out of balance, we got problems. If one goes away, we definitely have problems. And so, because that's automatically going to rise the other. And now we have oxidate. So, oxygen without hydrogen, right? We don't have what we need, which is balance.
So if we start to work, then we're adding hydrogen to the body. We get some prebiotics. We do the best we can because it is difficult to clean up like the water, the air, the food, but we do the best we can. What other things contribute to this lack of hydrogen in the body? Are there like emotional, mental, like the way when we think about like the cell danger response or about leaky gut, and we can think that sometimes it's caused like IBS symptoms are maybe caused by emotional stress or an emotional trigger. Is this a lack of a hydrogen? Does it have any other sources other than just from the gut bacteria?
No, no, no. It's a terrain issue, it's an electrical issue. That's what I want people to understand. Your emotions aren't going to cause IBS. Your emotions are not going to cause gluten and dairy intolerance. Your stress might, but your emotions, no way. It is a terrain, it is a biome. And bacteria, need an environment to live in, and that environment is an electrical one. So when we process the water in the flask, for example, something like this, or our machines, we have machines that make it much faster than this flask does. The water ends up with a negative ORP. ORP stands for oxidation reduction potential. In other words, you'll have a negative 400 to a negative 600 millivolts of electrical potential in that water. And that's exactly what anaerobic microflora need. They need a negative 300 to 400 millivolts of electrical potential in the tissue of the gut to thrive. And so, if we take an antibiotic and reverse the polarity to a positive electrical potential, then aerobic bacteria are happy campers. But the problem is that's not the proper environment for anaerobic. We need negative, not positive. So drinking echo water, A, it has hydrogen gas, which is going to do tremendous things for your body. B, it has a negative electrical potential, which is going to restart the environment. And just like the algae just appears when the water's imbalanced, if we balance the gut, if we put the right environment, the bacteria come back by themselves. We don't even need to take prebiotics to get the proper bacteria back. They are all, the environment is already perfect. It's already there. You already have all that. And they're just going to come because you've created a home for them. Now, does it hurt to eat a prebiotic or consume? Of course not. But the reality is you don't have to because those bacteria will come on their own if you get the terrain correct for them.
You have just solved so many questions that were lingering for me in my own health journey because there is a lot of confusion. I've gone to see different naturopaths and different protocols, and I have a counter full of supplements, and my fridge has all of these things in it. And, sometimes things work a little bit. I stop taking it, it goes away, or it never worked at all. And you're already saying, oh, there's a cost to this hydrogen water. Well, I've been on your website and I've looked around, and I'm going to tell you right now that the products that you're selling are a fraction of the cost for all of the countless things I've thrown
Yeah,
away on protocols that didn't work. And also because I never knew the proper thing that I needed. And then if you do end up going to even the naturopathic doctor, they'll run a litany of tests and stool tests and blood tests and hair analysis. But
right.
even that hasn't really yielded results once I had the expensive testing and results. But what you're saying right now is that if my body already has what it needs inside of it, and all I need to do is just support that coming back on its own, well, that replaces so many other things I've done and spent way more money
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's an amazing investment now for what you're actually getting then if it's replaced all the other things.
Yeah, so exactly. You're so I say this all the time, and I don't want to sound like a salesperson because I'm not. I'm a medical professional and I'm trying to educate, but at the end of the day, you're buying stuff. At the end of the day, you're spending money. If it's on Amazon, wherever, listen, we're all spending money. And we all go out to eat and you know, we're always shocked at the price these days because 5 years ago stuff was half the price, right? And so or a third the price. And we're going, what the heck? I just ordered eggs and whatever, and now it's like $12. You're like, wow, right? I would say to you, you're already spending the money that you could buy this with by buying sleep medication, by buying joint pain stuff, by buying calming stuff, by buying energy increaser stuff, by buying probiotics and trying to help your gut and all the things you're spending money on today to band-aid, but band-aids aren't permanent. You got to change them out. It's a band-aid is not designed to be permanent. The reality is, if you purchase something like this, and I'm not saying this because this is just for skeptical people, this is a great bottle where you can put water in it like I just did, and then turn it on, and then you can kind of see all those bubbles in there. Can you see them?
Mhm.
So all those bubbles that are in this bottle coming up, With the Echo product, they're 100% hydrogen, H2. With other competing products, who knows what you're getting? And especially if they're less than a couple $100, $150 at the bare lowest, if someone's running a sale, you really are not buying a true hydrogen product because you just can't manufacture them. We're the largest producer in the industry. We sell thousands of these per day and understand we can't make them and sell them for less than what we do and still make a profit. Like you just can't. And so to make a true hydrogen product, it's it's not $30 like Amazon is selling you. What you have to understand is that you will see bubbles coming up. Yes, you will see bubbles coming up, but that doesn't mean they're hydrogen. When you're buying what I call the scam or knockoff products, you're getting chlorine. And a lot of times at trade shows, I have this little reagent that I can pour a couple drops into someone else's water when they bring their bottle that they bought on Amazon for $100 or $60 or $30, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. I'll put this in there and it'll turn yellow immediately. And they're like, what? And this is just what people use to test pools and stuff for chlorine. And they'll say, where'd that come from? And I said, your bottle made chlorine. Like that's what you have to understand is that you bought an electrolysis based bottle. You bought a bottle that probably cost $2 or $3 to make because it's not a proton exchange membrane system like this. This costs, 20 times that minimum just for the membrane that's inside. And so people need to understand that in this bottle, you've got hydrogen gas out the bottom. See the blue light right there? That's
Yep.
where oxygen and chlorine come out of this bottle. And so when you have these cheap bottles, the oxygen, the chlorine, the ozone is all staying in the water. So you're drinking who knows what, and people will go on our social media and go, yeah, the water tastes other competitors' products. The water tastes like swamp water. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're drinking chlorine in, thinking you beat a system by getting a bottle for cheap, but now you're drinking in chlorine. Who's going to keep drinking that? And you may or may not get hydrogen in those systems. With this one, 100%, you're guaranteed you're getting 6 parts per million to 8 parts per million. That's 12 to 16 times what's considered therapeutic. So understand you can trust Echo. We're the original, we're patented products, we're the real deal. Don't go buy some Chinese knockoff. This isn't made in China. This is made in the Philippines in a factory that we control the production. So understand that it's a completely different. Echo is completely different from everything else. And you can't believe all the stuff you read online. I know that's shocking to people, but you can't believe it. But I would tell you, and this is a crazy number, I know, but 99% of the products on Alibaba, Amazon are just scam products. They're not really hydrogen. And if you put tap water in them, which you would have to do to get any hydrogen out of them, now you have all the heavy metals and the pesticides and all the stuff you would never want to drink. If you actually put reverse osmosis or distilled water or something really highly filtered into their bottle, they're definitely not going to be able to produce hydrogen, but we do. You can put distilled water, reverse osmosis, because we use a proton exchange membrane. We don't use traditional electrolysis. It's a completely different technology, completely different. So I just want to tell people that because they're going to hear me educate them and they're going to think they can go on Alibaba or Amazon and buy a $30 bottle and get all these benefits. You will not get all the benefits. And it's a day and night difference. I've met people who have bought the cheap bottles and they're like, oh, I did get a couple benefits. I'm like, okay, get an Echo bottle and then tell me what the difference is. And they're like, oh my gosh, like that was day and night difference. So just don't do that to yourself. Love on yourself a little more than that. Buy the real deal and actually experience the health benefits that you can experience. And I know that this is normally $2.99. I know, we run sales sometimes and we can do a special thing where Dayna can be your hero and she can get you a discount with us. We love her so much. Here's the deal. This is normally $2.99, but it's a 5 year warranty. You're going to have this for 5 years. You know what that means per day? 15 cents. And if you use this 3 times a day, like a minimum, like I want you, it's 5 cents each 12 ounces. Come on, guys. Think of yourself a little higher than that. I know you're doing coffee. I know you're doing drinks. I know you're buying stuff that's $5, $6 per cup. This is 5 cents per each. You can easily justify this over a 5 year period to have health improvement. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Well, thank you for offering that to the listeners. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. And, I am ashamed to say that I did buy one from Amazon when I first heard about hydrogen water.
Yeah.
And I don't know if mine ever worked. I bought one for my dad for Christmas too. And I never noticed anything, but there you go,
Yep.
because I was probably, and to even hear that maybe I'm drinking chlorine, I'm like, so is it
Oh
actually
yeah.
making me worse?
Yeah.
Like that's gross to think about. But
I
yeah, I
mean,
like,
probably the amount you're drinking isn't going to harm you, but and some people drink tap water straight, right? So it's crazy to think, but it's not good for you, definitely. And you're missing all the benefits. You
right. Well,
could,
that's why I bought it. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
actually like have a benefit from it. And, I feel like that cheap version of it is really selling people out. And I wonder going back and looking at the reviews, because how I probably would have picked it was like, oh, there's 3,000 5-star reviews. Probably they were saying, oh, because my shipping came quick or because
Right,
whatever. Oh, I opened it from the box. It looks like it said in the packaging. It probably wasn't about health
right.
benefits from it that got or who even knows how those reviews get up there.
Well,
But
you know, sometimes they incentivize people to leave those reviews and they don't care. They're going to say whatever because they got some coupon or who knows what they got. But yeah, and I don't know if you ever noticed on Amazon, if the same seller has sold 10 different things, sometimes you'll notice the 3,000 reviews are on something else they sold 6 months before. It's not even on the product you bought, but because they've used the same account and they've used the same exact page, now they've changed the product. And notice you'll be in there like, oh, the dresser was great. And you're like, what? It's a hydrogen bottle. Like, what are you talking about? The shoes fit perfect. What are you talking about?
yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
I
mean,
found that too.
the world is full of marketing gimmicks and schemes. But you know what? Before you came on, I looked at both your websites extensively, and I really like it. And I know we covered this in the last one too, but I want to reiterate it here in case people didn't actually watch the previous one. That you also host websites where all the research is contained. And I
Hmm.
think that that's really important, first of all, to be coming with the credentials you have, because you're not just a marketer. Right? You
No.
didn't just jump on the bandwagon just because you're like, oh, this is something that's getting popular. This
Yeah.
you're like, the OG back in the day that's been in this industry for a long time,
Mhm.
and also supporting the products with all of this research that goes behind, and even the fact that you're talking about a therapeutic dose. Because I'm sure when I bought my product, there was nothing on there that said how many
Right.
parts per million or how they
Right.
generated it. And to
Right.
know that all of that information is available and it does give more peace of mind to what it is you're buying. And the per dollar usage like really makes a
Yeah.
difference. I think about that every time I buy an expensive pair of shoes or a purse.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I wouldn't spend that on a tank top or a t-shirt because you're like, you'll go through that quickly, right? But I think about purses and I'm like, well, you never outgrow them. You can't get pregnant and
Yep.
then lose, whatever. They're always going to fit you. So when you think about the per dollar uses, I justify in my head.
Yep.
So the flask is the same idea that, I mean, if you're going to
Hmm.
use it every day, then
Yep.
over time, especially if it's coming with a warranty, it does make sense. And like, even in the industry, I wish that, and I know you will come from the same mindset here, that the powers that be and the people in power would come around to letting some of this stuff be covered by our benefits or some other way too, because they had no problem signing off on $110,000 a year medication that I didn't even want to take. But yet when
Yep.
I come to them with something like this, they're going to not support it. And it's like,
Yep.
why would we not, even if it's not to recover from a health condition, even if it's just for people wanting to maintain the stress of just living in the modern world, the preventative health measures that are available with a product like this, the price tag now seems very reasonable
Yep.
when you put all of that into play.
Absolutely. You are correct. And all of Echo products and even LumaNova for that matter are HSA and FSA approved. So when it comes to buying this, you can use your health savings account. and order it right off of our website. And, this is really important for people to understand that you can use those funds for good things. And with Echo, you can get the flask. And then when you fall in love with it, really what I designed this for is for travel, people that travel, and then skeptical people. Once you're using this, you know, if you have a family, this doesn't work so well because it's 10 minutes for 12 ounces of water. For one person, it's okay. But a lot of people say, well, I drink more than that. And so later this year, we're coming out with a 40-ounce version of this that people will love. But we do have machines that go on top of the counter. We have reverse osmosis systems that make hydrogen within them that go under the sink. Like we literally make these systems, and then you don't have to wait 10 minutes. You're going to get it immediately within seconds in a glass. And so this is a good place to start the flask, and then you can graduate to something that more matches your lifestyle. So, but that is something you need to do for the rest of your life. It will become your lifestyle. It's really important. And people, I think it's important to know I was the one who started the hydrogen, water machine industry, bringing machines, bringing products that delivered hydrogen water to us. And the reason I did was because 20 years ago in 2005, November 2005, my wife was extremely sick. We have been married 10 years. She had adenomyosis, thyroid issues, gynecological issues, anemia, short-term memory issues, yeast in her brain. Like she had so many things going on. I didn't know if I was going to lose her. I was a young man, 31 years old, married 10 years at that time, and I was all about helping people with diabetes and what have you. And here was my queen, the love of my life, suffering. And I was like, oh my gosh, every single month she would be bedbound for a week. It was not good. And so accidentally, I discovered water and that water could help her. And it was really the negative ORP that I talked about earlier. The negative ORP, the electrical potential in the water, helped her. And over a 6-month period of time, it restarted her gut and helped her function and normalized her menstrual cycle. And then I was like, wait a minute. If the electrolysis creates the hydrogen and the ORP, but the hydrogen goes out, but the ORP stays for a while, let's figure out how to keep the hydrogen in the water too. And that's when it really amped up her healing. So the negative ORP by itself helped her. But then when we figured out how to have the hydrogen stay in the water, oh my gosh, it was like day and night difference. And her, all of her issues started to go away, and it was amazing. And I got extremely passionate. I'm very passionate about it because it saved my wife's life. And so the reality is that's how the origin story. That's how I came across all this. It wasn't because I'm some brilliant person that decided one day, oh, let me test hydrogen. I wasn't that guy. It wasn't on my radar. I never thought of hydrogen before. Like I heard of the Hindenburg, but that that was about it. I don't know anything about hydrogen. I was dealing with foot issues from diabetes, and so understand that after my wife was healed, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's got to be a ton of husbands who don't know what to do about their sweet wife, or a ton of people that don't know what to do about themselves. And this is going to help people. And of course, now we've helped millions of people. But that's really how I got into this. That's how Echo was created. It was after healing my wife. And so, really, that's the reason I did this. And most anything that I've done good, you could credit back to helping my wife. So that's me.
Well,
So
honestly, if we were all so lucky that we had somebody, whether it's parent, husband, somebody in our life that was fighting so hard for us, but those of us that don't, or their partner hasn't been able to create something so amazing, thank you though for helping the rest of us find our way to healing too and sharing it. And I'm going to look into because we have some version of a health savings account in Canada too. And now that you've mentioned that, I'm going to call my company actually when we get off today, and I'm going to see if they'll cover this then too under that account because
That's cool.
that, yeah,
Hmm.
that's amazing, right? And then I'll really start promoting that to other people too, that maybe this is something that we can get because I think you guys have a little bit more, whether your healthcare system you think is better or worse than ours. I know it depends who you talk to about that. But there is something that's a little bit more free market about yours. Ours is a little bit more constricted only by what the government says we can do. But if we're going to talk then about all the different products you have, and maybe not even just for the Echo Water, but just in general, if you had different version sort of levels we could offer people, so sort of like this is good for everybody, this is if you have a health challenge, good enough, and this is optimal. Like if you could afford to do it all, if you could, money wasn't a constraint, this is what the ideal journey and products look like. Could you break those down so that people, depending on where they are right now, they could understand what they could go home and implement and they should be implementing today?
At minimum, they should either get this flask or the drink mix or both. And the reason I say that is because the drink mix is even lower priced than this, but you only have a 30-day supply. So, of course, it's going to be lower cost, but it's more expensive than this per use. It's significantly more. So, get this or get the drink mix or get both. That would be the bare minimum. If I was really telling you what to do and someone was like, look, I just want to have my life back, get one of our machines and put it in. It makes a quarter gallon a minute of water and it filters your water so you can put it directly to tap water and you have a machine producing. That's what you're going to have the rest of your life and it's going to work for you and all you ever have to do is replace the $100 filter every year or two. So that's what I would say. But, at minimum, get the flask or the drink mix so that you can start experiencing the benefits for you of a real hydrogen product. And that's where I would start. And do it today. Like literally, just do it. Don't get distracted. Don't get onto 50 other things. It will help ADHD, by the way. Don't get distracted with other stuff. Just go do it. And you'll love it. You will love it. You will love the improvements, I would say. People ask all the time, can I add flavor to it? After you've processed the water, before you open the lid, push on the top, there's a little dot. Did you hear that?
No,
Oh, it made like
no,
a
it's okay.
noise
Yeah,
because this is under pressure. That's how we get the amount of hydrogen that we do. Once you do it, you just open it and pour it out. Then you could add lemon or powders or whatever you want to add to it to flavor it if you want to. That's perfectly fine. There's no problem. Just don't put it in the bottle because you don't want to make a big mess inside the bottle that you can't clean. This bottle does have a self-cleaning cycle, and when you're on the touch screen, you could go here and you can kind of see where it says right there, clean flask.
yeah,
And so you would push that and it would start a 10-minute self-cleaning cycle. And you would fill it with 1/3 vinegar, 2/3 water, and you do that every once in a while. If you press the button on top and it doesn't make the noise, it's time to clean it. If and some people just like to clean stuff more. You can do it often and then just rinse it out so you don't have a vinegar taste in your mouth. But anyways, it's pretty simple to do that. That's where I would say start is getting something. If someone says to me, there is money's no object, get a machine, get it into your life, start drinking that every day, start bringing that into your lifestyle. And for those that might have skin issues like cystic acne or eczema or psoriasis or skin tone issues, we have a bath unit on our website. It's $7,500 retail, but you'll get a discount because of amazing Dayna. So take a bath in the hydrogen water, and believe it or not, with one bath, your skin tone will change, your collagen will change, your skin will be softer. Those that have cystic acne or psoriasis or eczema, that's going to go away in a short week or so of taking a bath in that water every day. So if money's no object, of course, surround your body with hydrogen and get it in multiple ways because in that water coming out of the bath unit, it looks like milk because it's there's so much gas in it. And the bathtub kind of has this white look to it because it's the hydrogen gas in the water. But it's amazing for you and it can cause, and there's studies to prove this, weight loss, hip to waist ratio differences. And just drinking the water, one thing I didn't mention, and I feel foolish, drinking the Echowater is like being on a calorie restriction diet. That's what the studies show, that just drinking the hydrogen water is similar to being on a calorie restriction. So you have to decide, do you want to be on a calorie restriction diet or would you rather just drink Echowater? I mean, it's up to you. But it seems like it'd be a lot easier just to drink Echowater and have your body take care of the things it needs to. But that's what I would do from a perspective of first, second, third. That's my recommendation. But do something. Do something for yourself.
I mean, I feel like with my own health challenges, I definitely do a countertop one because first of all, I
Hmm.
drink a lot of water in a day. So I'm like, I feel like that would be the way to do it. And also because I have people in the house, my daughter's got chronic Lyme, son's got IBS symptoms. So I'm like, I feel like everybody could probably
Yeah,
benefit from having this. Um,
100%.
so when you're doing it on the countertop, then we only turn the machine on when we're going to use it for drinking, or do we use this for cooking food and doing other things too? Or this is just purely we only want to have it being filtered for drinking water?
Great question. The Echo H2 machine that we have on our website, for example, it has a filtered only mode and then a hydrogen. So for the drinking water, the hydrogen. For making drinks or soups or cooking, use the filtered. And so the filter inside the machine is good for 1,000 gallons, and then you just replace it. And so I would highly recommend people don't cook with tap water, cook with filtered water. And so use the machine to fill up your pots if you're going to make soups or you're going to cook stuff, vegetables. Trust me, the vegetables absorb all the stuff in the water. Um, I used to have fun and I would take reagent like this. I would put tap water in. We would put the reagent in the water and it would turn yellow, and then we would dump some cut up onions in it and the water would go clear. And that's because it sucked all the chlorine into the onions. And so there's nothing more for this to react with. That's the reality is the vegetables are pulling in the contaminants out of the water. If you're cooking them in water, they're pulling it out and then you're eating it. And so I would say cook with the filtered water, drink with the hydrogen water. And so that machine now has a dual purpose.
So
If
something that,
your water line goes to the fridge, you can also connect it to the fridge.
okay, yeah, it's another layer to add in. Um,
That the
it,
the RO system, and that would be the Echo RO and the server combo would work with a faucet on top of your counter or the fridge. I'm a big fan of reverse osmosis water. I love having contaminant-free water.
Yeah, I do like a mixture in my house of like I have just like a Alexa Pure, kind of like a Berkey style one.
Yeah.
But honestly, it doesn't filter fast enough. Like my
No.
dog almost drinks that in a day, right? What's left in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing too. Have you done any testing or anybody knows anything about animals and hydrogen that
So
might
we
benefit
have
them
we
too?
have we have dog daycare, animal daycare centers that buy our machines and they're like all of a sudden all their eyes are clear, all their coat is shiny again. They don't have splotchiness. They're not going crazy bathroom problems. Yeah, trust me, 50% of dogs and cats have cancer and diabetes because of the kibble. It's the food. And so you can't process kibble through machines without 50% sugar or carbs. And so imagine if we were eating nothing but potato chips that were 50% sugar and carbs, we'd all have cancer too. These poor animals, they're eating the kibble and they're sick. They have joint issues. I've had two dogs in my life, both lived over 16 years, and we gave them species appropriate diet, which is meat. Um, Mostly dogs are not going to be eating rice. I can promise you that in the wild. They're not making up rice in their little dens. They're eating animals and stuff. So a species appropriate diet will greatly help your dogs last without joint issues. And our dogs didn't have joint issues. They lived to 16 plus, two of them. And, I feel for animals. So they will love Echo Water. If you were to put down a bowl of tap water, whatever you're giving them, and then put down ours, they will always go to ours. And once they experience the benefits of Echo Water, they are going to start demanding the water. One of the coolest stories, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Pompa.
No.
So Dr. Pompa lives here in Utah and he does detoxification. He's just a longtime friend. He had a dog called Friendy, and his dog loved Echo Water and would demand Echo Water. Like it would come and bark when the bowl was empty. It's like, I need water. I would like some water. And it had to be fresh Echo Water. It wasn't, it couldn't be like some other thing. And so one day he called me and he's like, Paul, you got to hear this. And I said, okay, what? He goes, you know how friendly he is about Echo Water. I'm like, yeah. They demands it. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I gave him fresh Echo Water today and he was still barking at me. And I thought, what the heck? Like, this dog is now getting like really an attitude about how it's his water is. And then he goes, then it dawned on me, wait a minute. Has something happened where the machine is off underneath that's putting hydrogen? He said, I went under the sink and sure enough, the power had been somehow taken out of the electrical outlet. And the dog knew there was no hydrogen in that water. It was like, no, give me hydrogen water. So I would say to you, dogs, animals in general, the placebo effect, we can just wipe that out, right? Because they know what they know and they have some very keen senses. So if you don't love yourself enough, love your dog enough and get Echo Water for your dog because it will change their life and it will help them and
I'd
they'll
love to
thank
think my dog is discerning enough to know Echo Water or not, but I mean, she's so dangerous. She eats everything,
you.
concrete, socks, anything. No,
Oh
doesn't
my
matter how many
God.
times we've had to go to the vet over it.
Oh my gosh.
But she only eats, so I get my meat from a local farm where the
Nice.
chickens are pasture raised and
Nice.
when they process the chickens, whatever's left over, they
Yeah.
grind it up and that's Ruby's food.
Oh, I
So
love
she
it.
gets the organ meat and all this stuff. So she only
Yeah.
eats healthy food. And I don't know if this is her breeding, like something was wrong, or it's because she's eaten so many poisonous, dangerous things. But yeah, she has some kind of neurological issue. Like she licks the air and stares off into space, and then she'll have these fits where, like, for 12 hours, she can't walk. She has like ataxia. It almost looks like she has MS. I feel like, is she like having sympathetic versions of me? And they don't know what it is.
I mean, how clean is that chicken meat? Are they farms that
Yeah, it's a farm. Like I visit the farms, I see them, and
they
they
don't use
are.
pesticides and
No,
chemicals and
no, it's
oh,
all
that's good.
organic
Yeah.
farming, and I visit the farm. I know the farmer,
Yeah.
so
I
yeah,
don't know.
no,
I would love to do a follow-up after Echo Water to see if she
yeah,
still has
that's what
that
I'm
issue
thinking
because
too, is I'm gonna
yeah,
start her
yeah.
on the Echo Water also. So
Yeah.
this one is just pure personal fascination. I don't know if you have people that I would assume in the wellness sphere that maybe this comes up a lot, but I do fasting. So I
Hmm.
do intermittent fasting. The MS one, they say to do 5 days normal, 2 days reduce calorie. But I find on those 2 days, if I have 500 calories in the day, I'm hungry and then I want to eat. So I'd rather just stop eating at dinner or wait till lunch the next day. So if I'm in the fasted state and I already know that's supposed to have some beneficial gut biome effect as well too, but is it a good idea then to be the hydrogen water? Would it be like an accelerator when I'm like in a fasted state and now I have the hydrogen put in? Do they have any synergistic effect, or it's not recommended, or?
Are you talking about a water fast?
Well, I'm just doing an intermittent fast. So yes, I'm only drinking water during that time, but I wouldn't really, I've done 5 day water fasting, and I'm not talking about that even here. I'm just saying, like, in that restricted window where for, 16 hours, I'm not eating anything. If I'm drinking hydrogen water at the same time as giving my gut this rest, is the effect the hydrogen is going to have on my gut bacteria going to amplify?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I once a month I do a 24-hour no food, no water fast. And I eat Saturday night and then I won't eat anything again till Sunday night. And so it's a 24-hour no food, no liquid at all, fast, which is good for stem cells and what have you.
So no water too.
Right.
Okay.
Not once a month I do that. No
Yeah.
water, no nothing. Nothing goes in my body. And of course, when I do that, it's for spiritual reasons. I focus on someone, I'm fasting for someone or a purpose. And so I find that when I focus on a purpose, it's a lot easier to do that than if you're just starving yourself. But I also have done 3 or 5 day water fasts. Mindy Pels, who's a good friend of mine, she wrote the book Fast Like a Girl because I would tell you, fasting is very different for a female than male. And that's one of those things where you need to be careful not to be doing it around your menstrual cycle because it can throw you off. There's other things that obviously women deal with that men don't, and so you can't just unfortunately, you can't just copy what men do because we're different. And so that is what it is. But I will tell you that water fasting is so easy when you do it with Echowater versus not. And I'll give you a few people like Mindy Pels, if anyone knows who that is. She said it changed her life for water fasting. She hated water fasting before. And once she started water fasting with Echowater, it really changed that process for her completely. Ed Group, Dr. Group, I don't know if you know who that is, but
Yeah.
he's had an ecosystem for gosh, 12 years, 13 years. And he promotes it and talks about it. But the reason why Echo Water will be easier is because your digestive system is off. The whole reason water fasting works is water does not start the digestive system. Food does, and minerals do, and other things do. So water does not restart. And so doing a water fast, your digestion is completely off. So your body can focus all its energy on healing. But because of the hydrogen gas in the water, it's modulating a lot of pathways that people take minerals and vitamins for. And so it's managing all your systems. And so you're not hungry. And we've had people go 21 days on Echo Water fasts, and they're losing 35 pounds. And they say, I don't know if I ever need to eat again. Like, I'm not even hungry. It's great. And I'm like, well, eventually you will. But yeah, you can go 21 days because you got plenty of fat, right, to convert into energy, and you are forcing adipose tissue and you're forcing brown fat and stuff to be burned. So it's very good. I've done 3 to 5 day fasting. I've never done a 21 day fast. I think it would be hard for me because I go to too many events or I travel too much that it's weird to show up to an event and not participate. And so I do 3 to 5 day fast and I focus it around times where I'm not going to be traveling. But all I want you all to know is that Echo Water will greatly reduce the pain or the hardness of a water fast.
That's good to know because I do like to do, they say if you do like a 5 day fast 3 months in a row, it resets most of your immune system. So I
Yes.
still am interested in trying that for MS. I've done a couple 5 day fasts, but I didn't do them back to back like that because I found them a little bit hard. And actually day 5 isn't even hard. It was the day 3 I found hard. When I got to day 5, you kind of lose some of that craving to eat, but there's something psychological about it where you're just like, is it okay to not be eating? The whole not
Yeah.
eating at a social events, I've gotten used to that because of how many restrictions I have.
Right.
My diet, I have so many things I can't eat because it triggers me. But I've already heard you say that in the beginning, and we kind of just moved past that. I'm going to revisit it here then, that if the hydrogen is going to help me to be able to, down the road, re-add those things back in without it being so consequential, that again is already worth so much money to me
Yes.
because
Yes.
you know how many things like it's so uncomfortable to have to go to people's houses and then I bring my own food or I
Yeah.
don't eat anything. And I'm
You're
like,
that person, right?
yeah, and you know why? Because I think I used to make fun of those people. Like I used to always be like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this like fancy hipster at the restaurant that wants to know what the chef put in the food and stuff. And I'm like, what a pain in the ass they are. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, my own health tanked, and I'm like, oh, I'm that person now, but it's
Yep.
real. And I have sympathy now that I didn't have for all those people before. But I would really like to let go of some of that restriction though, because
Yeah.
I kind of think that there's like this nervous system dysregulation in the obsession about the food. So if you're so worried about every little bit that's going in and what time am I eating and what am I eating, the nervous system is so triggered by
Yeah.
that already it's not going to digest good. Like you're already
Right.
undoing whatever benefit you were doing.
Oh,
So
well,
just
you're constantly, I mean, and you're getting stress, you're getting, all kinds of things, dopamine. I mean, there's a lot of things going on there, but you can simplify and just eat what the heck you want, whenever you want, and don't go crazy with that because common sense is common sense. But it is nice to be able to go somewhere, even for me, and make good, you always have good, better, best, and you can make better choices when you're somewhere. For me, it always comes down to pesticides and the cleanliness of food. It's not necessarily what people say is healthy or not, because I just read a study where ice cream is one of the best things you could eat, right? And you would probably say, most people would say ice cream's horrible, but actually, I just read a study where they did a study with 200 people and it reduced the risk of diabetes 80% if someone eats ice cream twice a week. Like literally. And so it's like, great. And I said, great. I ate ice cream twice this week already. This is awesome. But
don't tell my kids that study.
I know,
Yeah.
right? So the whole point is what is really healthy? And I think most of it's hogwash. I think most of the stuff we tell ourselves and people say what you're supposed to do, it's just nonsense. If our gut is working properly, we can eat just about anything. And you're getting your nutrition, what we call nutrition. You need a very small amount of minerals. You need a very small amount of vitamins per day. We don't need a ton of them. We need certain food groups, that support the core of what we're doing. And so and normally I will tell you hydrogen regulates so many pathways that people are taking supplements to regulate today that you could I mean, I will tell you on a regular basis I take very little to no supplements of any kind. I'm 53, almost 50 years old. I have zero pain in my body, zero diseases ever. I run, I walk, I do whatever the flip I want to do all the time. And I'm just telling you, supplements don't equal health. I would say more of that ends up in the toilet than you probably understand. It's what I call expensive pee. Whole foods are your friend. Things that grow naturally are. My biggest issue is clean. I'll eat ice cream all day, but I'm going to read the ingredients. And if it says a bunch of crappy chemical, I'm not eating that. It's got to say egg, sugar, like cream, milk, it's got to be something I know what it is. And then I'm going to make sure that those sources are somewhat clean. We cannot trust that our food is clean because there is glyphosate everywhere. There are chemicals everywhere, but we can limit the amount. And if we're drinking Echowater, it will allow our gut to be healthy even when we're eating pesticides from food. And I promise you, you can outpace the harm that's done from those chemicals if you're drinking Echowater and getting hydrogen into your body all the time. That's really what's doing it is the hydrogen gas. But you have to do it. You have to add that to your lifestyle and never take it away again. And I'm not saying every glass of water. I'm just saying you need to get hydrogen in your life every day and you will live a better life. I can promise you that. And then eat what the heck you want to eat. And, sometimes I eat stuff that's ridiculous and it's just because my mouth wants it. And it's okay. It's okay. It's called a party in your mouth. So do it, experience, love it, and be a part of it. And you're like, oh, that's great. And it might be 6 months before you have that party again. But you should be eating varied diet. We should not always be eating. One of the things that I'm going to say, and that this is a little off track, but I'm telling you, I believe this is true. If we were all properly disciplined, we would eat the food that would only grow in our area in the season we're in. I firmly believe that if we took away the food system and we only ate what grew in our area, I have this belief that it would connect our body to the earth more. And our body would then go through the weather changes, the seasons, as we call it, in harmony with what the earth is going through. And somehow I believe there is truth to that. There's something to that. Like eating bananas in winter just doesn't make sense. And yet we can fly them in from anywhere in South America, you know? And so, based on the temperatures where you live, the earth doesn't grow everything all year round. But there might be some wisdom to that. Maybe our body doesn't need bananas in winter when it's 30 degrees outside. You know, maybe it needs other types of things that create heat, like meat creates heat in our body and other things. So, that goes away from vegan or carnivore or all these things that we get into. I'm going from a whole nother thought process, which is to be in harmony with the earth and the seasons we're living in, and that there might be some truth to that. But that's just a personal opinion.
No, and I agree with that 100% too, is that regardless of what kind of diet you're talking about here, I have like a couple just standard rules I use. And one of them is what you're saying too about like, is it even a food you recognize? Did God create this food or
Right.
did chemicals create it? Because I believe in my energy medicine background that
Yeah.
if the signature and the frequency of the food, if your body takes it and it's like a file formatted that it doesn't even understand what it is, it doesn't know what to do with that.
Right.
And the seasonality matters greatly. And this is probably why we grew up with fermented foods, is because living where I do in Canada, and I do jarring and I do make my own food and I have
Yeah.
a room downstairs and that'll be my summer job is to take all the things and to make my
Yeah.
own applesauce, my own
Yeah.
sauerkraut, stews, all this stuff. And then
Yeah.
that's winter time now. We just go
Yep.
downstairs and open up the stuff. And that's why I know that even when the produce is hard to get because we're in Canada, all this stuff was at least I made at some point when it actually was real food and we eat that. So just looking at the time and then just thinking about wrapping up, I asked you about this last time about your own sort of health routine and things that you do. This time I'm going to make it a little bit more specific just to the
Okay.
gut. And maybe not even so much even just your own health routine, but if we are all, because today we talked a lot about the gut being really key. So besides just obviously we're all going to add in the hydrogen water. Now, what other small changes should we all be making right away to support so that when we add the hydrogen water, it's doing the best that it can because we've added in some other things. So what would that look like we could do right away?
The cleaner the food you can choose would have a significant effect on your body. There are many studies where people just started eating foods that didn't have pesticides and things in there. I think Dr. Oz did a study years ago when he was had his show, and there was something like 27 or 30 pesticides in the typical middle school child's urine. So when they were eating a conventional diet, there was at least somewhere between 20 and 35, let's say that there were pesticides, and they put them on an organic food diet. Within 3 days, there were zero pesticides in their urine. That's a big difference. So that's why I say I don't get so concerned about what the food is. I get concerned about how clean it is. Is it actually food, or is it always entertainment for your mouth? That's what we need to understand. Is it food? Is it really something your body's going to be able to utilize? And that's the deal. Like, you don't put something other than gasoline in your car and expect your car to drive. You've got to put something in your body that your body can utilize. And I'm not saying you don't have fun. I have fun eating foods all the time that are not for nutrition. It is for a party in my mouth, and that's okay a small part of the time. But focus on clean foods, as clean as you can, and don't freak out and get stressed about it. Do the best you can, and hopefully pray over your food. But the point that I would make is get your life and your body as clean as you can. It's a lot easier to get contaminants out before they go in than after they've gone in because some things are pretty pervasive in the body and it's hard to get out, like heavy metals. Pesticides seem to be somewhat easy for the body to get rid of as long as your pancreatic system or your kidney or your liver is working right. Heavy metals like mercury and lead and things different. They can find their way into the thyroid. They can find their way in other places. And now you got to use specific binders and they don't always work. So, detoxification can be tough. Parasites can be tough. So, on a lifestyle basis, um, I think the greatest thing anyone can do is have healthy, non-abusive relationships. That to me is the number one because beyond food, relationships can cause more damage to you from a stress perspective and a sickness perspective than any food ever could. Unless it was like, poisoned food or something. But the relationships that you keep and foster that are toxic are more damaging to you in most cases than food. So keep your relationships clean. Make sure that your relationships are appropriate for you because it can make you sick. Choose the best foods you can. I've always said that I have gotten really good at forgiveness in my life. This is the most important thing to me. I have no desire to hold claim on someone else's life, even people that have harmed me in not good ways. Like, trust me, with a person who owns multiple companies, obviously people who are employees or people they want to try and harm you, and if they can't harm you, they just make stuff up. I still don't want to hold claim on their lives. I just want to understand, look, they did it for whatever reason. They felt they had a good reason to harm me. Look, I'm going to release them so that I'm not holding claim. They'll have to deal with that on their own time frame whenever. I'm not going to deal with that every day and I'm not going to hold on to it and allow it to harm me. I'm doing my thing, right? I want to help people. And so that's another thing, getting good at forgiveness and stop worrying about why people did what they did. I was talking to my sister the other day and I said, where I learned that from was my own mother, who had harmed me in many ways. And I had to finally say, what would be the best case scenario? I could have a real transparent conversation with her. What's going to happen? It's not like she's going to go, yeah, I harmed you. I mean, who's going to say that? Oh, I don't remember. I don't think I did that. I don't know why. There's no fruitful conversations coming out of these things. You just have to release it. You just have to let it go and not worry about why they did it. You're never going to make it make sense in your mind because it doesn't make sense. People harm other people all the time, and sometimes they know what they're doing, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just completely out to lunch when it comes to social whatever. And sometimes they did it because they wanted to hurt you. So whatever it is, just release that. And I'm not saying you allow the abuse to continue or you allow them to be a part of your life. Definitely not. Don't allow them to be near you to harm you, but you can release them. You cannot hold claim on them. Let that go and then choose better people to be around you. Whether they're family or not, you can choose who's around you. You don't have to choose someone just because they're your family. And you can also love someone and not like them. And you can love someone and definitely not trust them. These are all different things. Love doesn't mean trust. Trust doesn't mean love. It's very different. These are all different emotions, and we need to learn how to manage those things properly. Um, and then my final thing would be for most people, you need to get quality sleep. And that is your time to restore. And a lot of people are on their devices till 1 in the morning, 11, 12, 1, and then they're getting up feeling terrible and they push through and they just do it the next day and the next day and the next day because in their mind they'll say, "Oh, I've got to be on these reels because it calms me down." Wait a minute. Read a book. Have a conversation with someone that you love or trust. Wind down in different ways, not utilizing a digital device, to get you started in sleep after watching all those stuff. And be careful what you do watch before you go to sleep or what you do read, because most likely you'll dream about that all night. And so I would just say use common sense and Move your body. Our bodies aren't designed to be couch potatoes. We are designed to move around. Last time we were in the podcast, I talked about fun, sweaty activities. Shake your booty a little bit, put on some good music and dance a little bit. Shake your body, get stuff out, have positive thoughts, not negative. Your brain doesn't know the difference between your self-talk and reality. Stop hurting yourself so much and saying so many negative things to yourself because you will believe it. Have positive thoughts, loving thoughts, be kind to yourself. I think these are the things that are important.
Exactly. I agree with all of these things. I go to bed at 8:30 or 9. And
Oh,
I get up at 4:30. So sleep for me has
oh
always
my
been bad.
gosh.
I'm like, you know what? I really honestly think that I don't know why people think naps like kids are it's punishment. I'm like, naps are wonderful. I love going to
Best
bed.
ever.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I'm good for all of that. So I think that's a good place to end on because you covered a lot of ground in that last little bit. I want to thank you again for taking the time to come back again today to talk to us because all the things you're doing, both branches of your business, is really beneficial. They're really easy things to implement. They're safe and they're effective, and there's so much science behind them. So thank you for creating these businesses. Thank you for helping your wife and through her helping the rest of us. Thank you for
Oh,
your time
absolutely.
today.
My wife is my queen, so she's amazing.
And for the viewers, I know we started today's conversation talking about the cellular health and about the bacteria in our body. And this show is called Spirit to Cell. So the cell is super important because I know in my own healing journey that something is still stuck there. And it probably is for you if you're still tuning in to figure out what's going on and how to fix your health. So let's start there. Everybody should pick up their own Echowater system, whether it's a flask or a bigger unit. And let's start actually implementing some of these changes. Because as we get rid of some of the low hanging fruit and we start to heal our body, we make more space for other things to come through. And I love how we ended this conversation talking about the soul and the spirit. So yes, do pray over your food, get rid of all the toxic relationships. I know my abusive marriage and my bad diet is what landed me with my MS. And I know that as I reverse all of those things and invite more positive relationships, my body has healed. And another thing that goes with that is who is abusing you, another person or the thoughts you are saying to yourself. So be careful about what you think and say to yourself and to your body, because your body is listening to what your mind is saying. It's not broken, it's beautiful, and it can heal when you do the right things for it. So stay curious, stay healthy, have a blessed day and a blessed life. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to Spirit to Cell, where we explore healing through all layers of our being. Brought to you by Energy Over Matter. Like and follow wherever you are listening for more education, meditation, and regulation. Dayna Wylder signing off.